daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Newcastle and welcome to my Cinderella Saturday night session. I've been left at home all on my own. Everybody else is out on holiday or enjoying themselves, but I know that we've got a big crossover podcast planned with the Liverpool boys that Joe and Nick are handling tomorrow. That'll be out on Monday morning. But we still have to have our preview, and it's down to me to do yet another solo for you because everybody else has got something very interesting to do. Before we get into the match preview, this is going to be short. It's going to be unabridged. I think there has been a little bit of shift around and some news on the old transfer window. Ins and outs. Ins, obviously there's news of strikers as we approach the last week of I think there's 9 days left of the transfer window. We still don't have a Callum Wilson replacement. We certainly nowhere near having an Alec Isak replacement, but there are still stories circulating around different strikers. I think there are 4 really that are sort of in the mainstream. 2 of them, namely Yoane Wissa at Brentford and Nicholas Jackson at Chelsea. Please God, no. They weren't in the matchday squads for their respective teams in either last night on Friday night's game for Chelsea or Saturday afternoon's game for Brentford. I don't know if that is because they are getting ready for a move. But interesting stuff, nevertheless. They didn't play. Strand Larsen played for Wolves in their defeat on Saturday afternoon. Wolves have already said, by the way, that he's not for sale. I don't know if that means he's not for sale at the sort of price you want to pay, but he might be for sale if you break the bank. A new name that popped up in the last day or two from Atletico Madrid. Stories that Sorloth was falling out with Diego Simeone, the manager at Atletico Madrid. He's only been there for a year. He's there 29. He would cost us about 30 million if we gave Atletico their money back. And I waited and watched to see if he was picked to play for Atletico in their game on Saturday evening against Elche in the Spanish First Division. Short answer, yes, he was. And he scored in the first 10 minutes in probably quite a dull 1-1 draw. So far from being left out and not picked, Sorloth started. I'm not sure. I mean, he'd be a great option. He's scored a lot of goals everywhere he's played. Apparently played 3 times for Crystal Palace. I can't remember him playing in the Premier League a few years ago and did absolutely nothing. But certainly in recent years, he's banged in a lot of goals. One goal every 2 matches last year for Atletico Madrid. At 30 million with 3 or 4 good years left, wouldn't be a bad option if he was available. It looked as if he was going to be available, but he got picked to start tonight, so perhaps he isn't. We'll just have to see how things unwind. And it's how those things unwind, really, that will determine the future of Alec Isak. He's not involved in the squad yet for the game against Liverpool on Monday night. Won't be involved in the squad either for the game against Leeds that comes up. And then there's an international break. And I think after the transfer window closes, if he hasn't been sold, that's the period where we'll be starting to train hard with the guys and hopefully be available for selection when we return in mid-September from the international break. But we'll see. I'm speculating. It would be great if he was able to come back and play centre forward, because the rest of our team, as I've observed frequently in the last couple of weeks, the rest of our team has been strengthened in all of the areas where we needed to strengthen, which is good. And we've shifted a lot of the players that we kind of, I don't want to call them deadwood, it's disrespectful, but the players who we have outgrown have been moved on. Almiron obviously went back in January. Sean Longstaff's gone. Callum Wilson has moved on. And news today that Matt Targett, a fantastic loan signing in his first year with us, but who has been routinely injured and hasn't really played very much at all, and then has had his position overtaken by first Dan Byrne, then Lewis Hall, now Tino and Trips both play left back as well. So he was reportedly on a lot of wages, which is hurting us for PSR. But the good news is that we've organised for his last year of his contract for him to be on loan at Middlesbrough. And that, according to the Daily Telegraph, is complete. So Matt Targett will be playing down the road. He doesn't have to move in Middlesbrough in the Championship this season. Might leave us light at fullback. I know that Michael's got fullback as a position he wanted to reinforce in these last couple of weeks of the transfer window. But I think we've got plenty of cover at left back. Anyway, other outs, very strangely, I heard this evening that Bayer Leverkusen were interested in signing William Osula. I'm not sure what they've seen that makes them interested in signing him, because he's been given a few chances, and unless he's playing against Division 2 opposition or Division 1 opposition, doesn't really seem to do very much. I mean, I know we all love him because he's a great dancer and he's a great guy around the dressing room, but hasn't really done it on the pitch for us yet. I think it's still early days, although he is 22, so maybe those days aren't quite as early as we all expect. But anyway, Bayer Leverkusen interested in taking him. I don't know if that's a buy, in which case we could turn a profit on him. I don't think we'll be saving loads of wages if it goes out as a loan. But I don't know if Howe or Tyndall are ready to give up on him yet. Howe's certainly not ready to trust him as leading the line. But it just seems counterintuitive to think that we could sell the one player who actually does badge himself up as a centre forward in our squad when we are really struggling in that position. I don't know. We'll see how that unfolds over the end of last 9 days of the transfer window. So, ins and outs, quite a little bit of news. I think I'm going to pause there and get onto the game on Monday night.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
And there you have a double sting sandwiching Sleazy Ken's Bioniq advert. Mainly because I'm only going to do another part. I'm not going to put a Zencastr advert in. Of course, there will be details about the wonderful Zencastr in our show notes if tonight is the night that you want to check it all out. So, yes, Eddie Howe's press conference on Friday, rather overshadowed by lots of questions about Alexander Isak. Eddie did confirm that he wasn't going to be involved this weekend, and he would prefer to concentrate on the players who were involved, which is what we'll do. Injury-wise, I think he's got a full squad to choose from. Even Joe Willock, apparently, who did look as if he'd been shot with a harpoon a couple of weeks ago, has been training this week. I'm not sure he'll be up to match fitness to be able to start at all. I'm not sure, even if he was, that he would be picked ahead of any of our midfield three. So what I am looking forward to seeing, though, is perhaps Malik Chow getting some game time, and Jacob Ramsey hopefully being able to make an appearance at some stage. We haven't seen either of those guys yet, but I'm sure with another week's training under the belt for Malik Chow that he will be under consideration. Not sure where Lewis Hall is either. We played that first game at Villa with Trippier at right back and Tino playing his left back position, although he is a right back, because Lewis Hall presumably was still working his way through to match fitness and getting more training. In terms of our team, I would like to see Lewis Hall play if he's fit. Certainly last year, until he damaged his ankle, I had him as my player of the season, but he did miss too big a chunk at the end for him to actually end up there. So I would think, having kept a clean sheet, that Nick Pope will start in goal. Ramsdale must be pushing him hard, though. All good. I think it was Ramsdale pushing him hard that made Nick Pope much better with his distribution against Aston Villa. Here's hoping we see that again on Monday night, because Nick Pope does reserve some of his best calamities for matches against Liverpool. So, is it a back four? Do we line up 4-3-3 as we did in the cup final when we beat Liverpool? Probably we will. I don't know if Eddie will be experimenting with different formations this early in the season. And if that's the case, I think we'll see probably Trippier, Schär, Byrne and Hall at the back four. Obviously Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno in midfield, with Gordon down the middle and Elanga and Barnes on the wings, which is unchanged from the Aston Villa game. However, I do think Liverpool warrants some sort of special consideration. Now, in the cup final, there was some excellent play by Schär and Byrne, who shot out and joined the midfield in order to close down the extra man that Liverpool worked to have in midfield. And there was some superb work by Joe Linton, who appeared to be playing in three different positions, not only the destroyer in midfield, but also an instant backup to snuff out Mo Salah's challenge alongside Tino, but then turning up in sort of centre-back as well, in between Byrne and Schär, clearing some really dangerous crosses. Is that a plan to ask Joe Linton to play like Superman again? Or, and this is, I'm putting it out there, let me know what you think in the comments. If Chow has impressed as much as I'm hoping that he's going to impress, Newcastle could line up with three centre-halves at the back, which would allow one of the three centre-halves to always be able to step up into midfield when Liverpool are starting their attacks. I would play Hall and Tino as the attacking, overlapping fullbacks. Shame to leave Trippier out, but I just think they're more athletic. That would give us Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno in the middle, and two up front. Gordon with the left-hand side, Elanga with the right-hand side, no centre-forward, but then we haven't got a centre-forward anyway. So I'm thinking we could be really quite dynamic on the transition there if you've got Gordon and Elanga taking sort of the inside right and inside left positions as Tino and Hall bum up as quasi-wingers. That's where we're going to hurt Liverpool. With our pace, with our counter-attacking, with getting in behind the fullbacks and moving so fast. And that lineup, I think, is quite secure in the middle to be able to win these balls when we're pressing, and super fast in transition. Just imagine Van Dijk having to rush out to the right wing to cover Elanga because right back's been stuck on the halfway line, who won't be Frimpong, by the way, because he's injured. So let's see who it is. But I think that's the way that we've got to hurt Liverpool. I think we've got to be defensively sound. I think we need a sort of defensive performance like the 2 semi-finals against Arsenal last year, or like the cup final against Liverpool. I do think that we had 2 or 3 Joe Lintons playing for us then, though, so that's hard to replicate. But we need to soak it up, and we need to be demonstrating that ability that we've shown a few times to control the game, but without possession of the ball. And that's 5 in midfield when Liverpool are trying to find a way through us, breaking really, really quickly when there's some space to go into. I think Liverpool might play into our hands on that. But I'm just wishing. I can't wait. I can't wait for the game on Monday night. One thing is for sure, it is going to be a hostile environment for Liverpool to come in. And I'm hoping that it freaks out some of their players who maybe haven't played in that sort of environment before. Ekitike, Wirtz, won't have seen the Geordie crowd. There will be extra spice added, of course, by the Isak situation. And I think we will be well up for it. The crowd will be up for it. It's a Monday night game under the lights on the television. Yeah, I think it could be a special night. It could be a Paris Saint-Germain night. Or, really embarrassing. One thing's for sure, I would hope that Eddie will be explaining to the players that this is their opportunity to show Alex that the guys that he wants to go and play football with, because they're champions, and he doesn't want to play football with Newcastle because we're not good enough for him, aren't really that good at all. Tell him, Eddie. We'll see you tomorrow for the crossover.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.